is going on, everybody? Welcome in to Lineman Life Live on Monday. It is the 13th of June, and it's getting hot outside. It's getting hot. I was getting out my car, bringing my bags in, and I'm like, fuck, training camp already?
Boy,
but
I do not
welcome into. I mean, man, training camp is just nightmare, man. Like that's I wake up for like the first 2 years I was retired. I remember the day when training camp would start. I'd be like, oh, thank God I don't have to do that anymore.
Couldn't be me.
You know what I mean? Couldn't be me. And it's funny because Brad Meester would always make jokes because we're like, yeah, Brad, you retiring this year? He'd be like, yeah, shit. He said, hey, you boys. Hey, when I retire, you boys get ready. I'm gonna rub it in. He says, first day of training camp, I'm gonna pull up a lawn chair, have a 6-pack next to me, nice little shade over the top. I'm gonna be right there in front of the O-line drills, just sipping on my brew, on my Bud Light.
Right.
I'm like, shit. But no, it's getting hot out there. It's summertime now, but we appreciate you guys for being in here and hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Make sure you subscribe, share this live stream. Pull your friends in here. We got some things we're going to talk about today. Now, some things going on, obviously, in the NFL. OTAs are going on right now. Mini camps right around the corner. Mini camp is really, I think mini camps just started for some teams, right?
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, it just depends on the team. But
it depends on the team, but mini camp is
imminent.
You know, mini camp is one of the, like, this is the thing about mini camp. Every year I was in the NFL. Mini camp, you go into it and you're like, okay, this year is gonna be different. This year, I'm in such good damn shape. I'm gonna be ready for mini camp this year. It's gonna be on. I've been doing 100-yard sprints. I'm killing it. First day of mini camp for every player. It don't matter how long you work. It don't matter if it's the best athlete on the team.
Oh shit.
By the last team period, you see cats just falling out, cramping. You see cats can't barely pick their legs up running. I know. I remember we were watching the film, and you literally, I'm sitting there running, and you just see me grabbing the back of my hammy. He's like,
Hey, the only way to get ready, to play
football.
Because you can't approximate it with sprinting or pushing sleds and all that shit. I mean, it's great.
No,
it'll
get you in great shape, but not football shape.
Yeah, completely different.
Not football shape. And by the end of that practice, coaches would be like, gosh, you guys work out there? You guys been working out? Well, what's going on here? You got guys over here dragging ass. What's going on, guys? It's like, bruh. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to make it through 2-minute drill. I was just like, hey, this might be over with. I might need to tap the helmet. I mean, what they going to say? I might just tap my helmet, walk off like, hey, I can't.
I just stop blocking people. Fuck, they'll get the point.
Feel like you feel like you haven't done any work. But like Justin said, only way to get in football shape is to play football because it's different than being in shape. Being in shape allows you to get in football shape a little bit faster.
Right.
But football shape is a whole beast of its own. And I mean, just like in training camp, the first 3 days of training camp are really the most gruesome because the first day, again, when you're in pads, by the time you get to the last 20 minutes of practice, you're like, yo, cart me off of this mug, please. And then you go through the soreness, and 3 days later, your soreness recedes a little, and then you start feeling it, and you're good to go.
I'm about that like Fred Sanford. This is it.
Yeah. This is the big one. It's the big one.
Every year.
Make it. Every year. But I see some people on here say okay, we got flooding up in Montana. We'll stay safe up there. I know Oregon, y'all living good. Y'all stay in the 70s. You ain't never got to worry about weather getting crazy.
Right.
But OTA is going on right now. One of the biggest story right now, I guess, for OTAs, and one of the biggest stories is that of the mystery of where is Lamar Jackson, because he hadn't showed up to the voluntary workouts, and there's been talk about the contract extension, what that was going to be about. I think that Lamar Jackson actually has the right kind of mindset when it comes to this, because he's going to get hundreds of millions, right? But the thing is that he doesn't even necessarily think he deserves it yet because he hasn't delivered on getting this team to a Super Bowl. Hell, did they even get to the AFC title game yet? They haven't even got to the AFC title game. They got knocked out in divisional.
Yeah, but I think they got divisional.
And they got knocked out in the divisional, and that's because they had the best record, so they didn't even play in a wild card.
Right. Yeah, and
so they didn't even win a playoff game.
And he missed, the last quarter of the season, I believe. Also,
yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
last
season he was hurt.
Not the kind of year you want to be having in a contract year.
Yeah, it was a rough season for him last season. I mean, anybody who's a Baltimore fan, a Raven fan, he accounts for literally 80% of the offense. Everything kind of rides on him. He's got an uncanny ability running the ball. It's like Michael Vick times 2, really, because he has a little bit more speed, a little bit. I mean, we're talking about Michael Vick here, but I mean, in comparison, if he's a little bit better than Michael Vick with his speed, huh?
Have we ever seen him run a 40?
I know, right? I mean,
like that Deion Sanders type shit. You could just say, he's fast enough where you could just say, "Oh yeah, I ran a 4.1," and cats will be like, "Well, maybe."
Yeah, that sounds about right because he just ran right up the middle of the defense from the 10-yard line and scored. Nobody even touched him. He spun
nobody touched him, so maybe he does run a 4.1. I don't know. But Deion Sanders said he ran in church shoes or some shit.
Oh yeah, they did say Deion ran in church shoes in slacks. Deion ran a 4.2 in church shoes and slacks.
That's the story. Uphill.
And ran straight into the locker room after he just kept striding through and went to the locker room, and that was it. He said, "That's my combine. That's the legend of Deion."
That's all you need to know.
You know what I mean? But
it was the same way. We'll never know. He was just faster than everybody else.
They couldn't touch him. And it's different when, you see it on TV, but when you see it in live, when you see a guy move that fast, you're like, golly, everybody looks like they're moving in slow motion. But Lamar Jackson has actually reported to OTAs. As you can see here, got a little message from the Ravens. And
what's going on, guys? Back at the King's Castle. I hope you're ready for the season because I'm sure he is. Let's do it. It's not a nation, baby.
Okay, so he's back. Now, contract negotiations obviously are going to be a thing. And a lot of people were speculating that that's what it was, why he didn't show up to any of the OTAs or any of the workouts, the voluntary workouts. I love him as a quarterback that does what he does. We know that he's not going to be a top 5 passer consistently. He's going to have he can be in the top 10, top 12, but I mean, that's not even how their offense is built. It's not built for him to throw the ball. It's designed to take advantage of his running ability. And Baltimore has really historically been a running team. They're a Pittsburgh, well, not Pittsburgh of today, but maybe Pittsburgh of 10 years ago,
right? Like
Jacksonville of 10 years ago, like Baltimore. These were all teams that are just downhill running teams. They line up in big sets. They get multiple tight ends out there. They get extra linemen out there. They throw the ball to their tight end and they run down your gut, and you have to stop them for 4 quarters. And when you have a quarterback that can be as dynamic as he can be, running makes it that much harder. So there's a lot of value that Lamar Jackson has, regardless of where he places when it comes to passing the ball. But definitely, it's good to see him back out there. I mean, shoot, of course, that would be a worrying thing for a lot of Baltimore fans if he wasn't. But that's for today. That's the biggest thing coming out of there. Now there are some, and I don't have a list anywhere, but there are a couple of notables who didn't show up for OTAs. I know that Baker Mayfield's been excused from one, right?
Him and Jimmy.
Him and Jimmy G have been excused. I mean, those are the fucking stowaway quarterbacks.
They're probably better off not showing up.
Yeah, the stowaway quarterbacks who are pretty much
like, we don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, we don't want you to get hurt because we're trading your ass.
Yeah, like
eventually.
Yeah. When we're ready, we're gonna trade you.
When we're ready. Not when you want to go, when we want you to go. And it's really for him, for Baker Mayfield's in purgatory. Garoppolo, I mean, he still has that Super Bowl appearance that he can at least point at and say, hey, there's some value you can add to me. And the run they had in the playoffs, even with him not, I mean, come on. The guy made big plays in the playoffs last year, throwing the ball. A couple times he did a Jimmy G thing and almost ruined the game. True enough.
He jagged it up a couple times.
He almost jagged it a few times. But the guy has solid talent. And there will be a team in the NFL that will say, yeah, we want to, we want him. We want him. There always is. It doesn't, backup. He won't be a backup, I don't think. But quarterbacks are so overvalued, obviously, because they are the key cog. But so even if you're not a top 10 or top 15 starter, you still have more value than like 80% of the rest of the market. So you'll find a home, you'll find a place, and teams will give you way more money than you deserve, even as an average quarterback.
Seattle.
I mean, Carson Wentz is still living off $100 million contract.
Sam Bradford.
I mean, come on. Now, aside from that, with Lamar Jackson, we got a couple things we're going to get into here today for the show. One, which I want to start with this one because I had actually paid attention to this story with Phil Mickelson and his PGA. He has some drama going on with the PGA Tour. So apparently, and this is kind of there's two parts to this entire situation. Is the Phil Mickelson and a couple of other big names, I think, in golf have actually left the PGA.
Good players.
They've left it. Good players have left the PGA to join Live Golf, which is owned by Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabian prince. Oof. Now, if you're not up to snuff on your geopolitics, Saudi Arabia is notoriously known for countless human rights violations, and the Crown Prince himself it's been basically proven that he had an American journalist who is from Saudi Arabia, that he had him assassinated in Istanbul. They cut him up, or no, not Istanbul, Turkey. I believe it was their embassy in Turkey. They assassinated this cat, snatched him up. He went in to go get a passport for him and his wife. What's his name again? Let me find him. Hold on, I want to get this right. I don't want to butcher his name. Saudi prince kills. Jamal Khashoggi. So Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist in the United States, I believe, for the Washington Post, if I'm not mistaken. But this guy was an American citizen, has citizenship, is kidnapped when he goes into the embassy. Istanbul. Okay, Istanbul is in Turkey. Yes, my bad.
Another city in Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, I was right. Either way. But they kidnap this guy. They kidnap him when he goes into the embassy. They I guess they asphyxiated him, and then they chopped his body up with a bone saw. Ooh. And the thing is that the only reason that we found out about this is because the Turkish intelligence agency was spying on their embassy and had recordings of everything. They recorded all of the all of the things that happened. They had it recorded. They had video and audio. So they know what happened. And they tracked and backtracked this entire situation. And you could see, I mean, they have video security footage of this hit team that was sent to Istanbul. And you see them on the streets walking into the embassy. You see them leaving after the situation, throwing stuff in trash cans. One person wore Khashoggi's clothing to make it look like he was Khashoggi walking out. I mean, it's like, you know, hey, that killers are still dumb. They commit crimes and they still be dumb. Like, yeah, that's not him. Well, and you know, this guy went in to get a passport. His wife was still in the car waiting for him. So, you know, a huge international incident, and that's just like scraping the surface of Saudi Arabia and a lot of the humanitarian issues that they have in their country. Now, being that it's like that, you know, for the most part, public, corporate, and, you know, just entertainment brands try to stay away from Saudi Arabia because even, you know, they have a ton of money, yes, but they try to stay away from them because it's a bad look. It's a bad look to deal with that country in any meaningful way when you're in any entertainment and when you're in sports, because obviously there's a lot that is connected to the sports worlds that has to do with, you know, just the continuous harmony of international people working together or competing against one another in sports. So there's a little bit of politics in that as well that has to be respected. And this video that we're going to take a look at here, we're going to react to, is one that I pulled up from TYT Sports. It's about 7 minutes long. We're gonna, you know, we'll pause as we go through it and talk about certain points. But there is a press conference the first press conference that Phil Mickelson is having after kind of going silent and not showing up at some golf tournaments, knowing that he was signing this deal with Saudi Arabian owned Live Golf, which they're going to be paying him, I guess, around $200 million. But, you know, there'll be more details in the video. Let's take a look at the video first, and then we'll react to it, and we'll react to it as we go. But it's a wild story because there's been some developments since that we're going to have to talk about as well. So let's take a look at this.
Hello. Hi. Phil Mickelson finally made an appearance.
A few months ago, you were reported as describing the Saudis as scary. What did you mean by that? And if they're that scary, why are you here, given that they're bankrolling this tournament?
Now that, my friends, right here, this is how you frame a question. But Phil was coached to get one message and one message across.
Well, certainly I've said and done a lot of things that I regret, and I'm sorry for that and for the hurt that it's caused a lot of people.
Okay, hold on. That sounds like a canned response.
Like I was going to say that no matter what the question was.
Yeah. Like that sounds like a canned response. And I don't understand why he would. So he's apologizing to Saudi Arabia.
Probably.
They're saying, hey, you called them scary. So now you working for him? What's up? He's like, oh, you know, didn't mean it. When I said they were scary. You know what I mean?
It's all, you know, butterflies and rainbows.
Yeah, like that was awkward because that's what it sounds like now. I mean, it sounds like to me you're apologizing to them for insulting them or for saying that they were scared, which kind of makes you a bigger bitch. But all right, let's keep going.
If I'm gonna be a bitch, I'm gonna be a $200 million bitch.
I don't condone human rights violations at all. I don't think nobody here does. Throughout the world,
none of y'all do. You sure? I find this puzzling because when you are heavily financed by a regime that dismembers a journalist with a bone saw, when you are being funneled by a regime that has an atrocious human rights record, that imprisons gay people, those in the LGBTQ plus community, that imprisons activists, that puts lashes on people in unfair trials, that kills over 80 people in one day. Not only are you condoning it, but you are benefiting from it.
I'm certainly aware
Oh, I thought he was
of
describing
what has happened.
So what?
I thought he was describing us.
Hey, you talking about Saudi or Americans?
Our record ain't that great.
Our record ain't that great, but
it ain't this.
I mean, we hide behind plausible deniability, collateral damage.
Oh, man.
All terms that we created so that we could kind of be like, if we fuck this up, hey, it's part of how this stuff happens, and we'll give you some money, and
that shit happens.
It's war, right? But these cats, they get wild.
Yeah.
They get wild.
It seems like it's perpetual over there. So
yeah, this is like the norm, the daily norm.
Benefiting from it.
I'm certainly aware of what has happened with Jamal Khashoggi, and I think it's terrible. I've also seen the good that the game of golf has done throughout history, and I believe that Live Golf is going to do a lot of good for the game as well.
A lot of good indeed.
Nice
In
pivot.
Phil's pockets. According to Brentley Romine of the Golf Channel, Phil Mickelson is making a reported $200 million. See, the money is different, and so is Phil Mickelson's attitude.
But isn't there a danger that you're also being seen as a tool of sports washing, an attempt to try and improve the image of a human rights abusing regime through sport, and that ultimately you could be seen as a Saudi stooge, and that could tarnish your legacy?
Hey, man, listen, let me tell you something.
You gotta step outside.
Hey, look, and I didn't even notice this. I didn't really pay attention to this until 3 weeks ago with the whole when the whole Uvalde thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
These cats, these journalists from like different countries, they don't be playing around.
Oh,
They will talk bad to your face. They'll be like, yeah, so you're not concerned that all that money they're paying you're just gonna be seen as a Saudi stooge. Like, couldn't that tarnish your legacy? Are you comfortable with that? Like, they really just get straight down to it. Like, hey, so you a bitch now, huh?
yeah.
Is that what it is? You a bitch? Because that's what it sounds like to us.
We got a word for that.
That's called sellout. You a sellout. So, I mean, that was a hell of a question. He went all the way in on the question. He backed that up a little bit. Jeez. He says sports washing, which
I never even heard that phrase.
That's the first time I heard of that.
And so is Phil Mickelson's attitude.
But isn't there a danger that you're also being seen as a tool of sports washing, an attempt to try and improve the image of a human rights abusing regime through sport, and that ultimately you could be seen as a Saudi stooge, and that could tarnish your legacy? Is that you comfortable with that?
So when facing tough questions, he smiled.
He even know it. Look at his face. God damn, son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Let me
Who
tell you
called on this guy?
Let me tell you about this yacht I just bought. Yeah, this guy.
Hey.
Miles, and without hesitation, sticks to the script.
I said earlier, I don't condone human rights violations. I don't know how I can be any more clear.
But these guys are paying me a lot of fucking money. I mean, you don't even understand, right? 200 million. I'm getting 200 million. Would you care?
Buddy. You know what I'm saying? He's like, what do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do? They came to my house with a dump truck full of money.
Are you going to give me $200 million?
You know what I mean? My wife's expensive. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Like Tiger, the most celebrated golfer, the most achieved golfer in history, has earned like 120 in his career. And they're going to give this guy who's fucking 50.
Oh, no. Tiger Woods hit $1 billion.
No. I'm saying just winnings.
Oh, just winnings. Yeah.
So like tournament winnings. Yeah, I mean, he's a billionaire from off the what do you call it? Off the court, off the field.
Yeah.
off the greens, whatever.
Yeah. As a full,
as
a full athlete, businessman. He's.
Him and I think Dustin Johnson's reportedly over 100 million. So two guys who were not as good as Tiger have made more upfront than Tiger has in his whole career from winning. Now, obviously, they all make a lot more, from endorsements and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's the type of money we're talking about here. To just up front.
But you know what the funny thing is on the side of that though? They were going to offer Tiger Woods even more, and he fucking turned them down.
I heard it was a Billy.
He turned them down. We got a video we're going to look at and on that details that after this one. But Phil Mickelson, I mean, I wouldn't even have done a press conference. I'd have been like, no, we ain't doing no press. No press. No press. Because you already know what's going to happen. They're going to get me. You're going to back me in that corner. And because he's looking like, he looks like a shill right now. Let's see what he says.
Questions, he smiles, and without hesitation, sticks to the script.
I said earlier, I don't condone human rights violations. I don't know how I can be any more clear. I understand your question.
And I don't give a fuck.
Again, I love this game of golf. I've seen the good that it's done.
Clearly, he was coached on 2 talking points.
I can't hear you. I just hear.
Discuss how you are not in favor of human rights violations, even the dismembering of a journalist, but also focus on how much you love the game and your passion for the game.
You said something in a Sports Illustrated interview, and you just said it again this morning. What happened to Jamal Khashoggi is awful, but I've seen the game of golf, the good that the game of golf has done throughout history. No matter how
these boys are good. Hey, U.S. journalists need to take notes here. They need to take notes because these boys are good. He's not even like, and I say this because now when I always think when I'm watching like journalists do press conferences and ask questions, they're always trying to be so damn like so flattering in their question instead of just saying, motherfucker, what's going on with this?
Right. I feel like they're trying to maintain the access. Like,
it's about access, but you got internationally.
Like, shit, I might never be here again. Let me ask what the fuck I'm going to ask.
The journalists internationally are ruthless because their conglomerates that they work for, they're the one they kind of be pushing around the sports leagues.
Yeah, you're right.
So the sports leagues kind of bend to them. Whereas in the U.S., if you don't treat them right, then the sports leagues won't let you have no access to them.
Right. Exactly.
But if you don't treat them right in Europe, they'll talk shit about you because you ain't giving them no access. They'll talk cash shit. Start making shit up.
Make shit up.
Yeah.
I can let you tell the story because I know you don't want me telling the story because I'm gonna tell it.
You know what I mean?
What I fucking think it is.
Because if you you leave it up to us, chap. You leave it up to us, Mike. We're gonna bury you, Mike.
Didn't it go?
like it's crazy. It's crazy. But let's keep going. But because I mean it's I like these questions that they're asking.
Yeah, this is
an interview, and you just said it again this morning. What happened to Jamal Khashoggi is awful, but I've seen the game of golf, the good that the game of golf has done throughout history. No matter how successful this tournament could ever be, it can't counteract someone being murdered, can it?
God damn!
Got him!
Wild guess what Phil's answer was.
Nobody here condones human rights violations.
Sticking.
He just repeated it. He just repeated it. He's like, he peeks off to the side of the stage like, they're like.
He's like, hey, pull the fire alarms. Do something.
He's like, can you shoot this guy?
Wow.
I mean, if they in Saudi Arabia, it might be an option.
He's like, we're about to have a human rights violation right now.
Indeed.
And nobody's trying to make up for anything.
You
know what? I would respect this motherfucker more. I would respect him more if he just said, you know what, guys, look. They offered me $200 million. Which one of you guys are going to turn that down?
Yeah.
And if somebody raises their hand, you just say, "You're lying. You're lying."
Everybody's got a price, man.
Everybody's got a price. They happen to find mine. What do you want me to do? I'm a golfer. I'm not changing their country. If I don't go golf,
ambassador, you know
what I mean?
I'm not trying to change the world. Change my world. Shit.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Sure
Apparently, Greg Norman is the one who started the Live Tour, so he got the Saudis to bankroll that shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
First, I guess through his relationships, he's been in like developing courses and shit in that world.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he probably meets some of these folks.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was the one at the head of that. But
he probably
Irvin Alvarado for $9.99. Appreciate that super chat, Irvin. He says Saudis have been investing so much sports from golf, soccer, Formula One, WWE. Yeah, they did have that big. They did have WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, they did. They did something like that. The WWE. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Other forms of entertainment. What doesn't stop them from luring the NFL to play games there in the future? Well, the thing is, the NFL don't need that money. NFL makes that money every year. They getting between 15 and 20 billion a year. You know where the NFL's going next? The NFL's going to China. They're going to go to China with football. They're going to go back to Germany. I think they got Germany this year, right?
This year and Mexico City.
They got Germany, they got Mexico City, they got London, and their next target, even when we were playing, they were talking about China, expanding to China. But I mean, that's a harder thing for them. That'll be a harder thing to do because football's not a naturally sought after sport in China. But like in the UK though,
they might have some human rights issues over there.
Do they?
Shit going on.
They're talking about the G word is happening in China.
Oh,
to the Uyghurs.
Mm-hmm. So how can we? Well,
it's crazy, man. Like and it's hard. Personally, to me, you can't separate what the country is doing on that level, and your brand associating itself with that with that country. That's where, once you cross the borders of said country to expand your sport, you're in geopolitics now because these other countries, that's how they look at it. We got an American sports brand that we support, that we have, that we drive. Look at the NBA. The NBA is, from a merchandise standpoint, the NBA is driven by the Chinese market because they love basketball. When they've got Chinese superstars who have helped the game grow so much because they were American superstars who came from China. Yao Ming. What's the other kid's name? Jeremy Lin. Like, these are guys who are icons in China because they played in the NBA. That's what, Yao Ming, more particularly, is the one who created that boom in China for the NBA. And they've been the biggest customer of the NBA. That's why the NBA don't be sweating when their ratings ain't shit in the US. Because they know their ratings is sky high in China, and China paying that bread. But also, China don't want to hear you say shit bad about them. They don't want to hear you say anything bad about them. So every time, and obviously there's a famous, notorious moment when the Houston Rockets general manager made a comment about China, and then LeBron James dumbass tried to step in and say, "You don't need to be talking what you don't know about." And it's like,
you don't need to be talking what you don't know about.
Yeah, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about, LeBron, because he's actually right. Now, China has its issues too, but even China, as bad as their issues are with the Uyghur thing, and just the way that they kind of treat society there in general, which again, that's, democracy is not for everybody. Now, I'm not saying everybody don't want it. I'm just saying that it ain't for everybody. Like, like, think about it. Afghanistan, that ain't never gonna be no democracy. It ain't for them. All right, it's just not for them.
Not gonna.
Some of their people might want it, but it ain't for them.
Not buying.
You know what I mean? China, hey, they might like democracy. Actually, China's not even like a purely a communist country anyways. They are more of a hybrid communist capitalist country. They're not it's not like they do all the shit we do here. They got all the social media. They got all of, they have all that. So it's not even, it's not even a purely communist country. But if you step out of line, you might disappear. and a tennis star tried to say some things about being an activist in China, and she disappeared for like 6 months. They was like, where is she? Like, people over here was like, where is she? Did you guys kill her? Did you kill her? And then she shows up just one day, has a little like video pop up like, hi, I'm alive. Then it's done. So, it's everywhere ain't like the US, and the US ain't like everywhere else. So you can't, sometimes you gotta I recognize they doing some foul shit, but also like, it's not necessarily our responsibility to change that. Now, you don't want to support it, and you want to, and at least with the NBA, they had a relationship with China long before that situation with the Uyghurs started popping up.
True.
Now here, you have Phil Mickelson, who is clearly aware of the past transgressions of the Saudis. And he said, yeah, you know what? I'm with you. I'm with you. But let's keep going through here. Let's hear what the rest he has to say about this in the press conference, because they went after his ass.
You said those two statements, one after the other, which sort of implies that you feel that one can sort of make up for the other. And one of our colleagues used the phrase sports washing, and that surely is exactly what that's an attempt to do.
That's a statement.
Hey, he's not used. See, again, that's the difference. This is an American athlete who gets put on a pedestal, who, when they're in press conferences, he's getting thrown softball after softball. They don't go into those. They don't throw him, a slurve or a 102-mile-an-hour fastball in the corner. They don't, at his ankles. They don't throw him that. So he is struggling visibly. He has to think about this because he's not used to being actually asked direct, consequential questions.
There are the game of golf I've seen unify and bring people together. I don't know how else I can say it. I don't condone human rights violations. Nobody here does. I don't know how else to say it any more assertively.
You're talking about
this is all they gave me.
Good.
Yeah. It was on a napkin. They didn't have anything else for me to say.
Golf.
Assertively.
You're talking about this being good for the game of golf. The general perception is that this is all about the money. Money.
Yes, bitch. That's what makes golf good.
Can you comment on that? What your
You see them new shades? You see them new shades he got sitting right there? Them brand new. He just bought them.
It's like, what do you think I'm playing for?
You know what I mean? If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
I don't necessarily agree with your premise.
Did you consult any human rights groups? And beyond Khashoggi, what are the human rights violations you're particularly referring to when you acknowledge those?
Bitch, I'm not a history major. You tell me. I play golf.
Look at this cat. But look. Oh, my bad. I'm trying to pull this down. But look. They got him stuck right now. He is like, fuck.
He's over a barrel.
Really,
right now. I mean,
they are bringing it. I don't even know what to do right now. He's literally stuck. He has no idea what to do.
I think he's trying to be too nice. I think he just.
He can't be, because he can't be honest. He cannot be honest. If he's honest, they will.
Oh no, you cannot be honest.
He cannot be honest, because the honest truth is he's doing this shit because he's getting $200 million, and that is literally 90% of the reason why.
Yeah, I think you got to clap back a little bit.
But the thing is, there ain't no clap back because you're stuck. You're kind of stuck.
Oh man,
you're kind of stuck. You cannot fuck with these European journalists. They ain't playing. They
really
they
ain't.
just ain't playing.
But look,
Let's
the
keep
check
going.
the check already cleared. I'm here.
Yeah, when the check clears, I mean, now he's locked in. He has to just keep. He's looking to the side. They're like, just keep giving him the script. Just keep giving him the script.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
You're doing great.
Don't condone
I think
human
I've
rights.
addressed that about as thoroughly as I'm going to.
In short, these are just the consequences of your
There
actions.
you go.
He's like, yeah, I'm not
Phil
answering
can
any more
try to
questions.
To the PR-driven script. But let's be honest. These were fair questions asked by the press, and he flubbed it.
We've got time for about another 1 or 2 questions, and just a gentle reminder, there are
You guys want to talk about golf?
Even Live Golf PR were
Hey.
annoyed.
Hey, listen, he said, just a little reminder, there's another guy in here.
I'm not the only guy that took the money.
There are other golfers at the table.
Even Live Golf PR were annoyed at the grilling of Phil. To be clear, wrote Awful Announcing's Jay Rigdon, taking $200 million from the Saudi government program designed to help rehab their human rights record is objectively the wrong thing to do. Set all that aside, though, and Mickelson's quotes reveal someone who hasn't even learned the PR lessons he should have learned. In his quest to remain the affable family man most of his public image is built on, Mickelson is instead channeling the remainder of his known persona by risking his entire public image in a doomed quest to pull off an impossible play. When Phil Mickelson gave those comments to Ellen,
He said, motherfucker, I done secured the bag.
I mean, honestly, like, I don't think he's really in a position where he needs to worry about his public image anymore. He's probably not going to win anymore on tour, or if he stayed on tour.
He got his jacket. He got his
51.
jacket.
You know,
Yeah.
it's highly unlikely he's going to win anything else on the PGA Tour. Does he care about the senior tour? They're not really making money like that.
Yeah, he won't. I mean, he's not even going to do that. You know what I mean? He won't even do it.
I'm sure this money is already outweighed whatever he could have made in future endorsements.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, like, unless you're just a guy that reads, your social media and cares what they think, he's like, all right, whatever. I made more money than I ever could have any other way. And that's it. I'll gladly suffer through 30 minutes of hard questions and look like a dumbass, for $200 million.
Like sell out for $200 million. Yeah, do
I mean, let's not front. If there was a Saudi football league and they was trying to give you 50 a year, when no offensive lineman was.
You see my ass over there, and I'd be all suited up. Got my endorsement patches all over my jersey. Shit. And I have my Oakleys on, right? When I take my helmet off, just be Oakleys under them. Who got questions? Anybody got questions?
Let's not fun. Let's keep it fun.
I'll be straight up with them. I'll be like, hey, you know what? These kids love the sport of football, and they're paying me $50 million a year.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you want from me?
I mean, if a Saudi newspaper offered one of these journalists $10 million, I don't know what a journalist makes. Probably not that much.
So,
they'll take it.
Sidebar, Irvin, I'm glad you actually know that because I did consulting in Japan with their football league, the X League, for 2 years in a row. Back in 2016 and 2017, I worked with them. They love football over there. Football in Japan has been it's semi-pro to an extent. It's in between pro and amateur, but yeah, I actually worked with X League, worked with the commissioner. The commissioner is a huge Patriots fan. He was at the playoff game my rookie year, which was weird to find that out. And but it was awesome. And helped them reconfigure their entire league like structure to more mimic like the NFL. Like me and Tutan Reyes, we went down there for 2 weeks in 2017. We worked with like 9 teams. We did demonstrations for the teams. We helped them with their game planning. After that was like we had a couple of days meeting with the commissioner. We were working with them for about really close to like 6 months because even after we left and came back in 2017, we were still doing Zoom calls with the commissioner. Just giving them more instruction on the structure for the league. Now they're like damn near 12 months a year-round league.
Wow.
But it was really a good experience, really a great experience. They do love football there. So yeah, that's awesome. But let's I do want to show the juxtapose to this in that there's somebody else with a big name who was also offered them big bricks of money by the Saudis. And he said, fuck y'all. And of course, even with all the shit he's been through, Tiger Woods still has his principles. Give him that.
Had to be Tiger Woods. Who else would even think about declining a 9-figure contract? And when we first heard about it, we were absolutely shocked. It's evident that the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Tour is willing to throw some serious money to get the biggest names in golf. Keep watching this video as we're going to tell you everything about the huge contract and more of what's happening in the world of golf. First up, a deal of a lifetime? When it comes to golf, the PGA Tour is without a doubt the biggest event there is. Nothing even comes close to matching the level of competition and entertainment at the PGA. But LIV Golf, a new tour backed by Saudi Arabia, is being pushed aggressively to compete against the evergreen PGA Tour. How successful it's going to be, we're not sure. But has it been successful in making headlines? Definitely. In an interview with Ken Babb of the Washington Post, LIV Golf CEO Greg Norman was heard saying that Tiger was offered a mind-blowingly enormous deal. We're talking 9 figures, zeros on zeros, a jaw-dropping $1 billion to get Tiger Woods to play the LIV Golf Tour.
Yeah,
So,
I heard it was $1 billion.
someone like Tiger could turn down a 9-figure contract. We weren't messing around. Even though it sounds like the deal of a lifetime, money isn't something new for Tiger. He's played at the very top for countless years, and his endorsements and off-court deals have kept the money flowing. Although, when you think
Tiger said, I ain't new to this. I'm true to this, cuz. He said, all right, I've been had $1 billion. Y'all late. If y'all would have said 5, we could have worked something out.
Think about it. Tiger has been playing golf for almost 26 years, and throughout that long professional journey, he's managed to make over $1.5 billion. So we're pretty sure it wasn't like the other deal Tiger gets showered with on the regular. He had the option to earn more than half of his career earnings through a single contract. The golfing legend probably had his reasons to decline a life-altering contract, though. But we got to give credit to Greg Norman. The guy was willing to throw $1 billion just to get the LIV Golf Tour on its way. And while a lot of professional golfers have gotten deals to play the new tour, none of them come near to what Tiger was offered. Next, loyalty to the PGA Tour. Remember how we told you Tiger must have his reasons for declining a $1 billion contract? Well, believe it or not, he only has one reason, and that reason is loyalty. Woods says that he isn't particularly fond of new tours, and if the topic of discussion is money, he thinks there's plenty of it out there. But if you're into legacies, big sporting events, opportunities, and historical comparisons, the PGA Tour is the place to be. And the fact that Tiger is so interested in leaving behind a legacy is the main reason why he's so loyal to the PGA Tour. It sort of makes sense, you know. The LIV Golf Tour is a new event in the golf world. Sure, there's a lot of money to be made, but no one really knows whether the tour will take off. Signing a couple of big names doesn't necessarily mean a good tour. The feeling of playing in a legacy tour like the PGA and
I don't need it to take off. I'm getting paid up front.
I just need them checks just need to clear.
That shit can fold tonight. As long as that check clear.
You know, it's crazy though, because even with all that, like this is, you know, me looking at it. Okay, yeah, we look at it from that money side, and we're like, okay, yeah, duh, like, of course I would take that, you know, and I guess in the real world situation, if you're in that situation where you already have a legacy, you already have a good legacy being built, you got money already, you don't have no incentive to go push and get into on something else that you don't feel like, especially, you know, like you don't want to go learn a new course. You've been playing on these courses for 2 decades. And I think, you know, at least from my standpoint, just looking at it, trying to look at it from each side of the spectrum, there's a difference between those who are legendary and those who are good.
Fair.
And the legendary ones don't give a fuck about the money at a certain point. They don't care no more about the money.
True.
Tiger Woods can turn down $1 billion because it ain't about the money for him no more. It ain't been about the money for him probably since like year 5.
Right. And
so for him, it's about making sure that everybody knows when he steps off this green for the last time, I was the coldest motherfucker to ever do this, and there will never be anybody else to do it like me. That's what he wants. That's what matters to him. And if you go across the board, whether it's in, sports, whether it's in music, whether it's in movies, anything really. Anything that requires you being skillful and that you can actually measure someone's greatness against another's.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the ones who are legendary always kind of that's what matters. It just kind of they transcend money.
No, I agree with that.
They transcend money.
I agree.
These guys might be considered greats, but they're not. I mean, you would never say Phil Mickelson is within. If you had to measure it by feet, Phil Mickelson is still 70 feet away from Tiger Woods.
Oh, so yeah,
if it's from 1 to 100 feet, he's still 70 feet away.
He's not on the Mount Rushmore of golf by any means.
He's not. He'll never be on the Mount Rushmore of golf.
And he also had $40 million in gambling debt. So maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Well, there you go. That's. I mean, hey, you got to consider your debts when you look at them contracts too. Like, hey, y'all go ahead and pay this off for me. Give me, this and this. We say it's 200 all together with y'all paying off my debt, and let's do it. So yeah, but again, you look at the juxtapose of that. Tiger Woods, he ain't got no gambling debt. He made his ex-wife pretty much a billionaire, and then she went and married a billionaire after they divorced.
Man.
And he's still, is Tiger Woods still sitting at $1 billion? I would say, yeah. Nike didn't get rid of his shit when he went through that. And then he comes back and he wins, did he win that US Open before or after the divorce? Where he had his knees were messed up and
he had that fucking broken leg?
Yeah. Basically, he was playing with a broken leg.
I do not remember the timeline if that was before or after.
I think that might have been right before, but it might have been right after. Because I think he won. I think it was
a stretch where he didn't win shit as far as majors.
Yeah, when he came back, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But then he won a Masters after that. Like, come on, he won the Masters after he blew his leg up in the U.S. Open. After he got like $1 billion taken from him in the divorce.
His ass is more metal than body at this point. He don't have some surgeries.
His beams, his back, his lower body, all beams.
Yeah, he's basically cyborg.
Yeah, and I mean, look, man, like, again, it comes down to the principles. His principles are so far ahead of Phil Mickelson's because his focus is not on his focus is not on the money part anymore. It's just about the honor, the respect, the legacy that he's going to leave, and his name will forever stay at the top of the golfing. The legend of golf will begin and end with Tiger Woods.
I mean, there's only two names that could be the best golfer ever: him and Jack.
Yeah.
There's like no one else.
Those are the only ones.
Now, if Phil goes and wins every fucking tournament in the Live Series, is he gonna get in the top 5 golfer ever? Probably not. And
nobody's gonna look at that. Nobody's gonna look at that tournament and be like, yeah, that's gonna have an effect on the FedEx rankings.
Well,
no, because it's not.
They've been removed from the FedEx rankings already. Everyone that defected.
Yeah, and that's the last part we're just going to talk about here too, because we're not going to finish this video. I think
they can only play in the U.S. Open and the Open Championship now, because those aren't PGA tournaments. Majors.
Yeah, and even to kind of like go over and let's look at this, because this is directly what I was looking at. What's this? That Phil Mickelson, I think they said that he's been suspended and he's getting fined. A week removed from his re-entry into public life, the 3+ months removed from the publication of comments that sent him into golf exile. What did he say?
I remember. Whatever you said about the size being scary was the first thing that kind of kicked all this shit off.
Okay, so it says here, Says here, Phil Mickelson stepped to the microphone at the U.S. Open for the first news conference of the rest of his life. Looking like a pale shadow of his old self. His eyes were wider, his cheeks flecked with fragments of a gray beard. Where once he sparred with the media like he was angling for a debate team prize. Now he was parrying barbed questions with dodges, evasions, and brief non-answers. That wasn't nervous. Phil Mickelson doesn't get nervous, but that clearly wasn't relishing this particular inquisition. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Less than 48 hours before the news conference, he picked up a $150,000 check for 3 days' work at the inaugural Live Golf Tournament, the first stop on an upstart tour that has promised a reported $200 million. He ended up on a 30-year relationship with the PGA Tour and saw sponsors flee. Let's see here. I'm not going through all this. Let me just find I think they gave him they were giving him some kind of fine.
Good luck collecting that shit.
For real. Yeah, okay. Maybe I didn't. I guess maybe they didn't. They put anything in here on it? No, I don't think they did.
I do know that all those guys have been suspended or removed from the tour now, though.
Yeah, they've all. Yeah, I saw that they all got suspended after that whole situation played out. But I know, it is kind of bogus. Like, where is the loyalty, you bums? Yo, I mean, in that regard, I can see again the difference between Tiger Woods and them is that he's past that so much that at the end of the day, that Live Golf Tournament, that ain't gonna get none of the ratings that PGA Tour is gonna have with Tiger Woods in it whenever he gets back into full swing from that car accident. But he will still be the bigger draw than all of them combined.
Yeah, nothing in golf moves the needle like Tiger.
Yeah, like, bro, didn't nobody care about golf when Tiger Woods wasn't in it?
Yeah, when he was injured,
he had to take his little exile,
his sabbatical, like that shit was so trash.
It's like, man, y'all ratings dropped like 70%. Be real.
It's like, I mean, they're pushing all these new cats and these young guys and stuff. That's great and fine, but I don't think it was will never be the same as like his stretch from like 99 to whenever he got hurt.
That U.S. Open was that last major where it was like, they were like, he's the greatest ever. It was like, he's the greatest ever.
Like maybe like 30% winning. If he showed up, he was gonna win.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. There was that. He had a run where it was just like Tiger, win. All he did was just win, and they weren't even close.
Yeah.
You know how much better he made golf?
It's hard to win twice in a year, and this dude was winning like 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a year,
and he was blowing them out. He changed golf. He changed golf to the point, and I remember I saw this. This was a while back, but I saw an article that said that like the average score in golf was like 8-9 strokes worse than it is now because of Tiger Woods. Because Tiger Woods was that many strokes ahead of everybody when he was just winning, and
I mean,
they started putting more into preparation of golf. It started to become more scientific with it.
That started working out harder. Used to be golfers were like they didn't.
It's a walk. They didn't look
like Dustin Johnson could have been a semi-pro.
And that's from Tiger. That's from Tiger because Tiger was training like a real athlete.
Yeah, they weren't getting money like this. I mean, revolutionized the sport.
Yeah, he did. He changed the sport completely.
Wasn't getting pussy like this.
Hey, bro, I've heard about the stories of him and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Him, Peyton Manning, and who else was it? I'm not going to speculate on the third name because I'm thinking a name, but I don't want to say that and put that out there. If I'm wrong, whoo! But I know him and Peyton. They used to fly to. Yep, this who it was. Alex Rodriguez. Him, Peyton, and Alex Rodriguez. They used to go on a nationwide tour on the private jet. They pick each other up, head down to Miami, then head up to Vegas, then wherever the hell they go from there. They pick them up in one spot, drop them off at the next, and just keep going. And they would just, I mean,
good to be the
king. Them boys was wild. They was wild boys. Now, obviously, this is Phil Mickelson going ahead and grabbing them dollars. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be something that passes initially. This is always something that is shocking at first, and they try to make a big deal out of it. But you give it time, and you will hear about this, with Saudi Arabia and their human rights. You'll hear about it again, but of course, they're going to try and bury that aspect of the league's appeal, of the league's image. They're going to try and bury that as much as they can. So you won't hear about it as much as you might think in the future, especially if they're dealing with American journalists. But it should always remain in the back of people's minds that this was a money grab first and foremost.
They only play
or
they're scheduled to play like 8 tournaments, I think, or something. Maybe that's stateside. It's a lot fewer than on the PGA Tour. So they won't be in the limelight as often. And I'm sure, I don't know what kind of TV deals they have over here, if we'll even be able to see, half of their.
You probably won't see. You probably will see. I don't know if they have any kind of TV deals.
I can't imagine they go into it without it, but
they might have like Sky News or something in the UK do it or something, but I doubt that they'll. The US media corporations, because then you got the PGA Tour, like that's going to be a conflict of interest.
They're going to be like, hey, you better not sign these motherfuckers up.
Oh, you signing them, huh? Oh, okay.
Why ain't Greg Norman up there with him, helping him out? You the CEO, man.
Yeah, hey,
got me up here looking crazy, and you, kicking it back in Australia somewhere, throwing another shrimp on the
bobby. Now, lastly tonight, and actually this is a pretty good time to segue into this. WNBA's Brittany Griner, she is still, and for those of you who I'm sure most of you probably know this or have heard about it at least, she is still detained in Russia. And when you talk about countries with human rights violations,
boy, it don't get much worse.
Russia is one of them boys too. And theirs is even like, theirs is different because theirs is more, it's more, I would say more calculated, more dubious, more undercover, fuckery that they do. They kill people, Putin, we all know about Vladimir Putin. He kills cats who run against him for the presidency. He had them killed in the streets. Like, he has people poisoned in other countries, with all kinds of chemical agents that, people who have been who have spoken out against him have ended up, being in the hospital for months or dying from being poisoned by him. So there is there's an even more malicious style of violations that happens in Russia. And of course, we all know about the Russia-Ukraine situation. That's something that, again, perpetrated by Russia. But aside from that, the WNBA's Brittany Griner was detained, and we got a video here that we're going to look at that kind of breaks it out, because I don't know all the details in this, I will admit. So definitely we're going to take a look at this video, another one from TYT, that goes into the details of this situation with Brittany Griner, because she is still months after being arrested, she's still in Russia. So let's take a listen to this.
You have to tell them that you want them brought home at any cost.
This is Trevor Reed, who was held captive by Vladimir Putin and the Russians for nearly 3 years. He is now using his voice to call for the release of WNBA superstar Brittany Griner and former United States Marine Paul Whelan.
They live in a cell that looks like it's something out of the Middle Ages. It's really medieval. The food there is medieval as well. You know, you're given fish. Sometimes the fish is rotten. The cabbage is always rotten. And that systematically.
Bitches can't even give us no good food, suckers. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look. Obviously, this is a guy who knows firsthand. So
let's
keep rocking.
Sure, they're fighting demogorgons.
I mean, and Russia's not even in a good spot right now. They're getting crushed economically. So
their shit's tanking.
And they're getting crushed economically. They are pretty much getting their ass kicked at war, which is
you could fucking suck. They're sucking right now.
They are sucking. Look, motherfuckers was scared of Russia. The United States was like, we don't really want to, Russia. Everybody was talking about how big and bad Russia was because that's the image that they portrayed. That we're powerful, we're strong, this and that. And then they went to war with Ukraine. And we found out the truth.
Little tiny
Russia cannot sustain war more than 90 miles from their border. That's how bad they have been at war. This is like the U.S. has got a real look at Russia, and now we see they're garbage. They are like garbage at war. We're giving the Ukraine our mids. We're giving them our mid-green, our mid-level weapons, and they are whooping.
Like, we're gonna throw this away anyways. You guys can have it.
Oh yeah. These were in the back of the warehouse. Don't tell them that. But hey,
we haven't used these since '94.
You know what I mean? Like these cats have embarrassed themselves on the world stage, and now nobody is scared of Russia. Nobody is scared of Russia. They have lost all their flex to the world. Finland is like, we joining NATO. Fuck y'all. Poland is like, yeah, us too, bitch.
What you gonna do?
Off our border and see what happens.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? Y'all cats can't even. Y'all's tanks broke down 60 miles from your border. You can't even make it to our capital. You couldn't make it to Ukraine's capital. They fucking repelled y'all. They pushed out. They like, and look, I tend to sometimes ramble into politics whenever because these things they all intertwine with each other. Russia literally has been pushed out of most of Ukraine, except for the eastern border of Ukraine.
Yeah, right where they're
the eastern, I guess, close to the eastern third, like a third of their eastern border, moving inland. But that's like probably less than 20%. But they had pushed. There was a point when Russia was like 15 miles from the capital,
right?
And they literally pushed them back. They've killed like 15 generals.
Yeah.
That is no country has ever had that happen to them.
And they're having to like expand their conscription age as well.
Yeah, they're making cats
like 65-year-old cats out there fighting now.
Yeah, like they literally have looked so bad. They have looked so bad that their reputation, Vladimir Putin has made so many mistakes because, again, this is a guy who is an intelligence officer. He's not a war strategist, but he has been in charge. He has been the one making, to a certain point, he was the one making all of the strategic decisions, and they were failing miserably. He fired all of his staff, got in new guys to run the war. They failed. So then he started doing it himself. He also has cancer, which they're saying is advancing. So where is there paranoia? Is there delusion there that he, another guy concerned with his legacy, but you can't go to war unless you got your money right. You ain't got your money right.
War is expensive. Extremely.
And they can't sustain it. That's why they, at this point, are just trying to siphon off what piece of land from Ukraine that they can and say that they won the war. Because that's what, again, if you go in Russia,
people are
brainwashed.
Their news is completely...
Their news is wild.
Diametrically opposed what we're hearing. Oh, yeah, we're doing great.
Hey, bro, I saw like some clips from their news, and it's like, yo, these cats are like standing in like, it's like they're in this, like a battle dome. Like they're all just standing around, like just pointing at big screens and talking shit. And And it's like,
forget Ukraine. We're about to take Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, we're dominating them. And you see them show a clip from their perspective of the war, and you got like 5 soldiers shooting at an empty building. And it's like, yo, there ain't nobody even in that building. What they shooting at? Ain't no soldiers anywhere. But anyways, let's keep going here. My question with this Brittany Griner situation is, what are you doing in Russia? Why were you there? Russia is like our adversary. They don't like us. We don't like them. Why would you go play basketball? Let's hear the rest of it. Let's get the details.
Which is rotten. The cabbage is always rotten. And that systematically discriminates against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transsexual people under Vladimir Putin. And, those things obviously are going to make Brittany's time there a lot more difficult.
Reed gave these grim details at a rally for Griner.
You're in prison there is like you're waking up into a nightmare.
Reed, however, is not alone.
Free BG, man. We're here. We're here for it. We're staying with her. Yeah, y'all see the shirt. You know what I'm saying? We with BG, man.
Fucking basketball players, man. It's a real luxury that people get to see your face when you're playing ball. So they know you got instant notoriety.
Right.
Feels good, I bet. Look at his hair. Green, wild and shit. Like, we don't do that shit in football. It's like,
like that.
Ain't nobody gonna see it. That's why we don't do it, because ain't nobody gonna see it.
Yeah, because it don't matter.
Yeah.
Boston Celtics' Marcus Smart supported Griner with this shirt.
As a collective, we wanted to come out and show our support for Brittany Griner. She's been over there for an extended amount of time, and we feel like enough is enough.
Including Jaylen Brown, and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver gave an interview on ESPN. The shirts were super important because not only showing our support for our sister that's wrongfully detained over in Russia, Brittany Griner, said Grant Williams, we just wanted to show that togetherness and love that we have throughout not only the NBA, but the WNBA. She's been a vital part of the WNBA for years past, college, and in the amount of impact she's had on young female athletes. The 2-time Olympic gold medalist was arrested in February at a Moscow airport and will remain in pretrial detention until at least June 18th, according to Russian state media. Russian authorities claim to have found cannabis oil in Griner's luggage and accused her of smuggling significant amounts of a narcotic substance, an offense punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Reed feels the time is now, not only for
drug smuggler.
What?
Drug smuggling? Is that what y'all are saying she's doing? See, that's the thing.
She had like vape pen or something.
She had cannabis oil. So, okay, that could have been, okay, fine. If she had that, if that's a definite fact, okay, fine. But that was like 3 months ago, though.
Well, they have
why is she?
Is right to speed trial a thing in Russia?
They clearly don't have bail.
Yeah.
Clearly don't have bail because that was like right before the war broke out with Ukraine. She got arrested.
We're kind of
right after, I think. No, right after, like a couple days after it.
Yeah, their due process ain't due processing.
Ain't no such thing as due process in Russia. Come on, man. They sniped a dang news journalist. They sniped him on the street in front of the Kremlin. Like literally in front of their government buildings. He just got sniped, shot in the back of the head. And he was like they said this guy was really popular in Russia. And that kind of sparked off protests when it happened. But he was the guy who was going against Vladimir Putin to get the presidency. I find it funny. Like, this is what these kind of dictators / leaders, whatever you want to fucking call them, whenever they're challenged, if they are challenged fair and square, generally they lose. And once they lose, it's like they lose, but they never lose. Because when you see somebody like Vladimir Putin, and I remember the last time, I remember when he became, when he got back to presidency, he was like, he like stepped aside for like 10 years, and it was like not even stepping aside. He just moved to a slightly less front page role. But then he came back to the presidency, and they try to act like they were quasi-democracy, and this dude got like 97% of the vote. Stop. Nobody gets 97% of the vote. Nobody gets 80% of the vote. Like, it just don't happen.
Yeah.
So these guys,
landslide here is like 55. That's a landslide.
Like 55, like a 5 or 6% win is like you dominated that motherfucker. But in the U.S., Vladimir Putin is a guy who, if he ever had to go fair and square in an election against people, against someone where the population isn't, being, isn't fearful that if they don't vote that way, or isn't fearful that he'll just win anyways, regardless of what you do, he would lose because people don't like you. They don't like you. If they don't like you, you're going to lose. And they didn't like him, but they fear him. And that's what makes him, that's what gives him the ability to do what he wants, is because sometimes fear is more powerful than love is. Sometimes it is.
As Cersei Lannister would say, power is power.
You know what I mean? Because fear mixed with power is much more potent in keeping things from pushing it aside than love with power. Love with power opens the window for somebody to just snuff a knife in your back. You know what I mean? Like, so, and that's, I mean, obviously that's a sad fact, but it's something that you see all the time. Now, with her situation here, I feel like the smuggling thing, that's where I'm like, I don't believe you motherfuckers. Because why would she be smuggling a controlled narcotic? Why would she smuggle that from Russia? Even if you'd have to be, to be fair, you would have to be the dumbest motherfucker in the world to think you're going to go from America to a different country and try and smuggle shit back. You're not a drug smuggler. You ain't never done this. You don't do this. But now all of a sudden you're going to smuggle shit across an ocean? Come on, man. I can't buy that. But
out of Russia,
let's hear the rest.
For him to speak up, but other.
Say what?
If I'm gonna smuggle drugs or do some fuck shit, I'm gonna go like to the friendliest country I can imagine.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna go, hey, Amsterdam. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try and bring some weed back. Hey, they're just gonna be like, no, you can't do that, and they're gonna make me throw it out.
Yeah,
but that's if they catch me.
But hey, you gotta smoke that here.
Yeah, you gotta smoke. You can smoke it here at the gate, but you can't take it on the plane. Oh, okay, cool. All right, let's go. But I mean, Russia. That Russia's an adversary of America. That they are not. Their society is not nearly. And that's another thing I don't get. She's a lesbian. Why would you go to a country that does not fuck with LGBT stuff? They don't. Mm-hmm. Like they have there's a female rock band. I forget the name. I think it's the something dolls or the something cats, the pussy cats, I think. But these chicks, they're like a thorn in the side of the Russian government because they've done a lot of controversial activism, in their music videos. Okay. And they've been put in jail and they've been beat up and the government don't play with them. And one of the biggest reasons why why Putin went after them so hard is because I think all the girls are lesbians. Oh, wow. And they are like, it's literally illegal to be a lesbian. It's illegal to be an LGBT person. So knowing that, which I don't know if she knew that or not, but I mean, you got to think that you're doing a little research on where the fuck you're going. Like,
there's a whole women's basketball league over there. That's
boom, and that's another thing. It's like
a lot more than America does, but statistically, a lot of these women are, I'm gonna fuck up the acronym.
Pussy Riot. That's their name.
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ.
A lot of these women, who are that. So it's weird that like the biggest non-American league is there.
Yeah. I mean, and a American women's basketball superstar who they know you're in the country. They know you're there. They know you're a lesbian. And even if they are not willing to like nail you on being a lesbian in Russia, you're going to get treated much differently once they have an excuse to arrest you, you're gonna get treated much differently. Because now ain't gonna be no cameras to see what's going on. Ain't gonna be no, the guards, the cell, the food, like our guy was saying. You're in a much different position now, a much more stressful, much harder position now. I can't understand why you would go there, even if they pay more. Go to China.
Because I thought she was currently on the WNBA roster.
She is. It was the off season when she went.
So she's just visiting for fun.
I think she was playing, in the off season.
Oh, like their seasons don't overlap or something. Okay.
Yeah, and don't hold me to that, but I think that's what was happening.
Okay.
But let's hear the rest of what was going on with this.
To use their voice as well. There is no justice in Russia, he said. Brittany and Paul will not receive justice in Russia. They're not going to receive a fair trial. They will not receive a fair investigation. They will be there as hostages until the United States gets them out. Reed called for advocates of Griner, Whelan, and other Americans wrongfully detained across the world to work together on each other's behalf because every single one of us is an American. The question remains, what has been happening and what can be done? Bill Richardson does not work on behalf of the United States government, rather on behalf of the families. He is a former U.S. ambassador to the UN who's worked privately for years as an international hostage negotiator. Experts have said Richardson's involvement would be a crucial sign that her case has moved into a new realm. Recently, he was credited with playing a critical part in securing the release of Trevor Reed, the former U.S. Marine who was held in a Russian prison for over 2 years. As for what...
I mean, it took him 2 years to get him out.
Right.
Almost 3. Damn.
I think I saw today that the State Department is getting involved.
Yeah, I thought that I saw something that said that that the U.S. government and Russia had talked about it, had talked about her situation, and that they were like, if I remember correctly, I think that they were kind of rolling back the severity of it just a little bit, and they were trying to get into some kind of talking phase to, try and get her. But the U.S. government said that she's technically wrongfully detained. But I mean, come on, do Russia care? No, that's not what that's not what is playing on their news.
I guarantee you, they got her looking like Tony Montana in that bitch.
They got a grainy, dark video of her just beating up Russian civilians. It ain't even her, just some tall person in the hood beating up civilians, and they saying that's her with weed pens in her mouth and shit.
Everyday Americans can possibly do. Reed has a pretty good idea. Write them, call them, annoy them, don't leave them alone, Reed said of getting in touch with state reps in the United States government. Tell them you want Brittany home, and you want the rest of the Americans who are being wrongfully detained home, and you want it done now. The head coach of Brittany Griner's WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury, spoke with CNN. I hope it's not just a show to say they briefed us, which I'm afraid of, she said. Hopefully it's something that shows positive progress and we learn something new that helps us learn more about how we're going to bring our teammate home.
All right. So that is Brittany Griner's situation. I mean, it sucks, man. I mean, that's always been one of my fears, and I'm sure I'm sure every person who travels internationally, and Justin, I'm pretty sure you're the same way too. Mm-hmm. Like, it's always like you don't want to get caught doing any kind of, you don't want any crime to be you don't want to be accused of any crime in a different country, because it's not the same in the U.S. Look at A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky got arrested in Switzerland or Sweden? Yeah. And they don't have bail. So he had to stay in jail for like months because they don't do bail. There's no such thing as bail. So you got to understand where you're at and how their justice system works, because some of them are vicious, like not even vicious, but they're just way more strict and way less forgiving than ours. Because as much as we complain about the American justice system, if I get pulled over and, if you got a suspended license, you get arrested, but you just get to walk right out the jail after that because they just have you sign a paper saying you're going to come to court. Right. But you got to be, but they got to take you to jail. And that's that. Now, you go somewhere like Russia and have the same thing happen, I mean, it may be like, one, you don't get a bail. Who knows if their jails are packed? So you might be in a packed jail where you are like 6 months down the line from even getting to go to court to get arraigned on a suspended license. You know what I mean? Like, you're in jail. And, you know, I know that was when I went to Japan for a month the first time I went. And, you know, the first thing that I did as I'm getting ready for the trip is I started looking to see, like, hey, what's the marijuana laws here? Yeah.
That's good for
I need to know what happens if you get caught with weed here. What happens? And it was like, if you get caught with weed in Japan, you could be looking at a mandatory 1 year in prison. And then you'll be deported, never to return again. Like, you'll be banned from the country for life. And I was like, damn, that's rough. Now, when I got to Japan, I started asking around. I asked an African brother who I had met and, you know, became friends with.
A little different.
And, he owned a bar, and he I was like, hey man, you know, like, y'all got weed out here? Like, yeah, brother, we got weed. I'm like, okay, cool. Now tell me about the law. Is it really that bad? Like, I heard you get like a year in prison if you get caught with weed. Like, oh, no. For you, they deport you. For me, you get like 7. You might get 7 months, but you might serve like 1 or 2, and then they let you out, and you got to be on a probation style system for the rest of the time. But you're going to be in prison for some time. For a little, you're going to have to do some time. Damn. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But yeah, let's just try not to get caught. But the thing is, I never even saw cops out there. I seen cops like a few times just in their cars, but they're not like, it's not the same. That's what's so crazy, man. It's not the same when you go somewhere else. They don't have law enforcement hawking the citizens in Japan. They're just chilling in their spots. I don't even remember. There wasn't even an argument. We were walking around late night around the clubs in the club district, and, you know, there's nothing going. I mean, people are just out having a good time, but I didn't even see like as much as an argument when I was there. So the police are kind of in the background. You don't really see things going on with them unless there's an issue. But I mean, hey, Japan is one of the safest countries in the world. So, you know, that's how it is. But I hope that, I hope something gets figured out, because even above just physically how this whole situation can affect Brittany Griner, mentally, she is going to be fractured coming out of this if she doesn't get, some resolve in under, I mean, with Russia's history, I mean, we can just say if she don't get out in a year, it's going to be some real problems for her. Because, I mean, hey, a U.S. Marine, he got held up in there for 3 years.
Right.
So, I would at least be thinking on a 6 month cycle if I'm her, like, because you're like, they're at war, and the U.S. is actually providing their enemy with weapons to kick their ass. So there's not really going to be a lot of diplomacy between Russia and America at all. So
you're not the priority right now.
You are not going to be considered a priority by them for any stretch of the imagination. And the U.S. can't even really rush. They can't even really like get up in Russia about it, because Russia don't even got to talk to them. They're not even talking to the U.S. So it's going to be touch and go for a while for her, which is unfortunate because, everything that she has is back in the U.S., her career, her life, her friends, her family, her loved ones. And she's stuck without that. And there's not really anything anybody can do. Like, there's really not. They can't, like, they're not going to, like, they're not sending anybody there to go take her and bring her back. But they can't really even be diplomatic because they're not on that kind of terms right now with Russia. So, you have to wait until things simmer down, which means she's going to have to sit tight. That's going to be, feel bad for her. But, much support to her. Hope something moves on that. Hope something moves on that situation. But that is going to be it for us here tonight, guys. We appreciate y'all being in here with us, hanging out. Again, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share this live stream. We will be back on Wednesday with some more sports world news to get into with you guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful Monday, and we will catch you all on the next Lineman Life Live. Peace.
Peace.